Welcome back to Mindset Monday. We're going to bring Chris Lavin up here in just a second, guys, but this is your chance to get inside the brain of an eight-figure entrepreneur, someone that not only has climbed the financial mountain with business and all that God's blessed him with, but also takes the time to take care of other people. I was sitting in a circle in my living room, and we had some guests from out of town that run an orphanage, and they're doing incredible things taking care of kids. And without hesitation, Chris just jumps up and says, I want to help. I want to help. And when I saw that action taking in his eyes, like I knew he was serious, number one, because I've seen him do it before. But number two, that's just the kind of person that he is, always trying to help other people. Bruce, help me bring Chris up. Let's do this.
And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Presenting the master of the real estate deal and entrepreneur champion of the world, Chris, the negotiator Lavin.
Oh, I love that. It's such an indulgence. It makes me chuckle every time I see it. It's unbelievable. Hey, everybody, my name is Chris Lavin. This is Mindset Monday. And I'm just going to drop right into a story because as many of you know, if you followed along at all, that I don't want to use the word preach, but I don't have a better one, that no matter what I do, no matter what decision I make, no matter what transaction happens, I pray about it first. And so, but sometimes God's plan isn't your plan, and it isn't your destination, but it always works out for the better, the larger better, the greater good. And so several years ago, a couple years ago at this point, I guess, maybe as many as three. My memory is terrible. You have to excuse me. My wife is from Nebraska, and that's important because my wife comes from a very small town, very small community, very tight community in Nebraska. And I don't know if you guys maybe have seen this on the internet or not, but there was this thing that happened called the pandemic, COVID-19, where the world was shut down. Well, I live in West Palm Beach, Florida. And what happened was all of the New Yorkers came down to West Palm Beach, Florida, and stayed. They stayed. It was crazy. It was so many people here for so long. We usually have a season of snowbirds that come and they go. Anyways, I'm telling you this whole long story to tell you this. My wife is very Midwest, very small town. So when she would go to the grocery store, and have to be in the grocery store and around these people from the big city, and I shouldn't pick on New York, but it's primarily New Yorkers here. They're all like rah, and gruff and grumbly and all that kind of thing. And my wife is very Midwest, very sensitive, and so she was very negatively affected by these people. So we decided that we were going to leave our home and move. And it was right at the end of when the prices were going out of control. So we put up our house and for sale. Oh, back that up. We prayed about it, and God told us to put our house up for sale. So when we did that, we didn't get. It was like right before Easter. I'll never forget it. Every other house, like up to that point, all you heard about is like people put a house on the market, and the next morning they'd wake up and there was people camping in their front lawn to come in and do the open house. That didn't happen, and I was like, are we doing the right thing? Anyways, long story short, even although maybe too late for that, we ended up finding a buyer, and now this buyer was selling his house in, of all places, New York. So he was having a very difficult time selling his house, and so. We had a house up for sale by owner. We had a sign in the front yard, and this guy kept asking for extensions, and finally I said, all right, one last extension, and I remember I got on my knees that night. I was like, God, am I supposed to sell my house? Like, did I misinterpret things? Am I doing something wrong here? Am I going down the wrong path? And literally, I prayed because I was nervous, right? I was nervous that I was not interpreting God's will for me correctly. And so I sat down at the dinner table, and all of a sudden it starts pouring down rain. And a knock comes on the front door. So I open the front door. Hi, how you doing? There's a guy, and he's standing there, and he's got his whole family standing in front of me. And he says, listen, I'm looking at your neighbor's house, but your house is ideal for us. What's the deal with your house? My realtor said it was already sold. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said it is already sold. And I told him the deal with giving the guy one last extension. He said to me, and this is 20 minutes after I prayed, he said, whatever they're paying you, I'll give you $25,000 more. He said, I'll give you $25,000 more right now if you'll break the contract. And I said, listen, I don't do that kind of thing. I gave my word to somebody. I said I would do this, blah, 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 blah. All right. Long story short, let me back you up as to why we ended up in that moment in time. While we were trying to sell our house, we were trying to buy a house in Tennessee. And there was this weird thing going on in Tennessee where people from California were trying to buy houses in Tennessee because Tennessee has no income tax, right? That's just like Florida. And what they would do is they would put like these deposits on 5 or 6 houses. And there's some weird law in Tennessee that says if you've never seen a house, you can show up at closing and say, I don't want it. So these Californians had made it so that you couldn't buy a house unless a realtor knew you had been there to see it. They just wouldn't accept the offer. I was literally offering $100,000 over asking for houses in Tennessee, and I couldn't buy a house. So back to that moment in time. So I told the guy no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't violate the contract. Blah 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 blah. So we have a house in North Carolina, which is 20 minutes from the Tennessee border. The plan was to move to North Carolina and then drive over to Tennessee to go find a house we're going to live in. So finally the day comes, the transaction happens, we sell the house, we pack up and we move to North Carolina. Now, we start looking for houses in Tennessee and we're still struggling to find a house. And I'm praying, and I'll never forget, like, I'm praying that morning, and I'm thinking we made a huge mistake. I'm not really listening to what God is telling me. That I'm making this all up in my head, and I pray and I pray. And I'm like, God, I try to be a faithful servant, but please just let me know that it's not Chris that I'm hearing, that it's you that I'm hearing, right? And so he says to me, peace, and I felt peace, and I'll never forget this. I don't generally like barbecue, but there's this place in North Carolina, and I've got to look this up. So bear with me a second, so that I don't leave you hanging. I'm not gonna be able to find it. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Anyways, there's these kids that are from the town that I'm in. I can't remember their last name. So we go to this barbecue place that I love, and as I'm standing there, I can't remember the kid's last name. They're on America's Got Talent right now. Anyways, as I'm standing there, I'm really unsure. I'm really unsure about what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm waiting for a sign, so to speak. I don't know. So I'm standing there waiting at Rib Country, and I'm there, and there's a guy who's sitting over there, and literally the guy gets up and he walks over, and he says, takes out his hand, he says, "Hey Chris, God just nudged me to come over and introduce myself to you." And I went, "Ah!" I'm in shock. This guy knows my name. He doesn't, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a message from God. God is actually in this situation, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, and later it turns out I find out that this guy's name is Chris Rumfeld. His kids are right now on America's Got Talent, and what he was saying was, "Hey, I'm Chris. God nudged me to come over and say hi to you." Anyways, I interpreted it as a sign, as you do. So I regained confidence what we're doing. We ended up finding a house in and I know this is a long story, and there's a point to it, trust me. And we ended up finding a house in Tennessee, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of the city. Chattanooga. And before we moved to Chattanooga, I had a friend that's in Louisville, Knoxville, Tennessee. And he said, the weather's beautiful, it's gorgeous, you're going to love it. So we bought this house. I'm sorry? Anyways, we found this.
You can keep going. It's just like every 10th word gives a
Yeah,
little.
we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Maybe you can go to that fixed mic right there.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. Yep. Is this better? Is this better?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So we ended up finding this house in Chattanooga, and it's just leave it. And it's absolutely terrible. Like, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And the weather's horrible. And I remember asking, I started asking people, I'm like, you've been here in Tennessee for a while? Like, oh yeah. And I'm like, you like it here? And they're like, no, we hate it here. As soon as we can retire, we're moving to Florida. And I'm like, right? This is the middle of the winter, it's December. And so, I started asking other people, oh, it's nice in the summertime. They're like, no, it's worse here in the summertime. We're getting out of here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So I'm hating the weather in Tennessee, in Chattanooga. And I start praying, God, can I move back to Florida? And we get nothing. Like there's nothing. So we start trying to find a house back from where we came from. Couldn't find a house. Couldn't find a house. Couldn't find a house. And this goes on for about 6 weeks. So finally, I speak at this meeting, and in that meeting, many of you may know I'm diagnosed terminally ill, stage 4B cancer. 10 years ago, they gave me 3 months left to live. And as I'm speaking in this meeting, I share that story, and I share how God has inspired my life, and how in that moment I decided that I was not giving up, that I was going to continue to live life no matter what. I wasn't going to die for the next 3 months, I was going to live for the next 3 months. And as you can see, I'm still here, and it's well over 10 years later. So I share that message in this meeting that I'm at, and a woman comes up to me after the meeting, and she says, can I give you a hug? And I'm like, of course. And she puts her arms around me, and she collapses into my arms and starts sobbing. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, you don't understand. And I'm like, I don't understand what? She said, I was diagnosed terminally ill, and I came here today to say goodbye to my friends. I was going home to kill myself. And because of your message, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. God loves you, and He's got a plan for your life, and just have faith that God's plan is more perfect than anything that we can ever imagine. That was a Friday. On a Saturday, the next morning, my wife and I got on our knees and asked God again, can we move home to Florida? And we immediately both got the same message. Yes, it's time to go home. The very next day, a house came on the market, it said coming soon, it was going to be available on Monday. That Monday, my realtor was there, put an offer on the house, it was accepted immediately. And we moved back to Florida. See, that whole journey had nothing to do with me in my plans. That whole thing, had I not been faithful to God, perhaps that person would have died that day. See, so I'm telling you this, whenever you do anything, ask for divine guidance. And if you get it, don't rebuke it. Follow it. That's what faith is all about. Because sometimes, it's not about you. It's about somebody else. And Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. See, so God used me one more time, one more beautiful time, to save a life. And I was able to witness it. So if you pray to God and there's a path laid out for you, and even if it's not making any sense, that's when you follow your faith. God either is or he isn't. Instead of asking, why isn't this working or why isn't this going the way I want it? Maybe I ask, who is it helping? Because sometimes the things that I'm doing today has nothing to do with me, but has everything to do with somebody else's salvation. Thank you for listening to my long-winded story.
Chris, well, man, thank you for fighting through even with the audio challenges. You got a lot of comments coming here and questions are starting to come too. You okay for a couple of questions?
Sure.
All right, guys, if you've got your question and it's not in the chat yet, go ahead and put it in the chat and then I'll get it. These will come anonymously to Chris. We won't publish them on the internet or anything like that. So whatever you're saying here, it will just be between us and Chris, and I'll just read your question out loud. First one, Chris, do you have any tips to understanding and interpreting prayer?
Do I have any
tips?
Yeah,
like follow your gut. You know when God is talking to you. Well, let me rephrase that. The only battle I ever have is whether it's my ego and my mind telling me something, or if it's actually God telling me something. So I pray a very short prayer in the morning, and that prayer is very succinct. It's literally, God, reveal your will for me today and make me man enough to carry it out, and let people see your glory and not mine in those actions, because I'm failed and you're not. And then I sit and listen and just wait patiently. And that's when God talks to me. Like, I don't hear voices. I get moved to do things. That's the best answer I can come up with. Just follow that conscience that you have inside of you.
Chris, you have some folks asking how old you are.
I'm way too old. That's an ongoing question. Because when I was like 38 and 39, I was telling people I was 40. It wasn't because I was trying to lie or perpetrate a fraud. It's because I did math. I was born in October of 68. I think that makes me 57. So I'll do the math real fast.
Chris, you got a question. What are your thoughts on the banking industry right now?
Okay, so I have two schools of thought. One is the banking industry and one is the Fed. Whether you believe it or not, the banking industry is it's disgusting as far as you ask me. I mean, the amount of money that banks are making, even in depressed economies, and even when inflation is through the roof, is ridiculous. And then there's the whole Fed, if that's what you're kind of talking about, and it's multifamily investors, that might be the case. I think it's a monkey act. I think it's a circus. I think it's ridiculous as to what's going on with this man, Jerome Powell's ego, and the American public suffering as a result. So I guess I don't have a question about it right now.
I think that question came from someone who sees the opportunities on your other show each week.
Oh, right.
All right. Last one for today, Chris. And then any more, I will make sure to get inserted for next week. Do you, and then you can close wherever you want, Chris,
do you have a suggestion for how to pray as I start out or as a goal? Do you have a suggestion for how to pray as I start out as far as a goal?
Yeah, so let me make this abundantly clear. I don't have any goals in my life that don't align with God's will for my life, right? So what do I mean by that? So one of the things that I learned a long time ago is never pray for things for me. Pray for how I could do for other people. And so this is going to sound a little bit shallow, but there are times when I pray for money. And not to have in my checking account, but like, God, if you could help me find a way to raise this $300,000 so I can build that community center for these kids, if that's your will for me. Right, so important, and I mean it. It's like, if that's your will, if that's what you want me to do, that's what I do. Because there's an old adage that says, "Man plans and God laughs." That's pretty common. But that's the reality. My number one goal is to be aligned with God's will for my life. If I'm aligned with God's will for my life, it seems like everything just goes so much easier. When I'm not aligned with God's will for my life, it's like pushing a rope constantly. It's absolutely ridiculous. So my goals, I ask for the wisdom to align with God's will. And there's a time in my life, I'll never forget, I was doing as much as I thought I could, and I kept hearing from God, you need to do more, you need to do more, you need to do more. but I was doing the wrong more. The more that I believe in that moment God wanted me to do was to spend more time investing in people with my time, which is very limited, than anything to do with money or anything else. So when he was telling me to do more, I found that when I started reaching out more and mentoring more men and helping more people, that request from God subsided, and I fulfilled his request. So my goals have to align with God's will for my life, and then it's just super easy, man. There are deals and the transactions that we pray about. I'm in the middle of a transaction where I'm saving. Oh, this sounds so. I don't mean to sound arrogant. We're walking in on a piece of property, and we're literally saving the previous investors. They're in for $35 million. That the other deal that they were going to accept was going to wipe that. And I'm trying to give them the opportunity to recoup some of their funds along the way, because they're mom and pop people who, this operator did a terrible job and just ended up losing their money. And I'm doing everything I can to protect my investors, make money for my investors, and save those people. And it'll probably be, at the expense of me not making any money in the deal. But that's okay. God told me to do that. And I'm here to tell you, when he tells me to do something like that, so many beautiful things come out of it. 10 years from now, we might run into the kids of these people who they were able to save their college fund or whatever. I don't know what God's will is. At the end of the day, I just know when he tells me to do something, my goals align with his will, they come true. And with that being said, I want you to understand one thing that I think is just absolutely beautiful. God has done amazing things in my life, and he does not love me any more than he loves you. And he surely does not love you any more than he loves me. So seek God's will in your life on a regular basis, and it'll just be easier. And we'll close with this quick story. Two birds up on a wire outside of Grand Central in New York. One of the younger birds is looking down at all the people running around just in chaos and unhappiness. He looks over at the other birds and says, "Man, their lives are terrible. Look at them, they're so stressed out, so unhappy. Oh, that's horrible." The older bird looks at him and says, "Yeah, it's too bad that they don't have a God to look out for them like we have that looks out for us. Remember, God loves you. Peace."